On your budget, your OLS responses, page 30, or the budget page D125, Governor Sherrill proposes cutting $1 million in the advanced placement exam fee waiver. Is there a particular reason why? Has there been a drop-off in applicants for this? Because it seems like in FY24, we spent 1.1, 25, we did 1.6, last year we did 2.
This was a collaborative process in a tough budget year, and I'm happy to follow up more on the current participation. But again, encouraging students to get access to advanced coursework is something I think we need to make sure that our funding formula overall supports.
So you're not, to your knowledge, you're not necessarily seeing a drop in kids applying?
I would have to
Or
follow
enrolling in
up
the
with you,
program, I
but
should say.
I'll follow up with you afterward.
Okay,
Yep.
great. The next one is budget page D126, the literacy initiatives. Governor Sherrill is proposing cutting $1.125 million from the fund, but the notes from OLS say that there is still $3.9 million uncommitted. I know you've only been here for a couple weeks. Do you know why that money hasn't been used yet?
I'd love to follow up on the specifics, but I will note in terms of the cut in the appropriation, some of that money was for the one-time standing up of the literacy screeners, which we're in the first year of implementation on, and we do have data in terms of how districts are doing with that. So we do not believe that additional funds are needed to stand up that process, which now exists. And we additionally are looking at all of our literacy work as a whole, and that also includes a federal grant that supports literacy. So we do have additional funds that we're trying to bring together, as I spoke about in my opening statement, to make sure that literacy is coherent since it touches so many parts of our education system.
Excellent. Next question. Budget page D125, the Youth Disconnection Ombudsman. In 2025, we put $200,000. In 2026, we put another $200,000. This budget proposes another $200,000. Again, I know you just got here. I know the administration is also new. But I believe this was passed 3 years ago, I think, maybe 4. There still has not been an ombudsman appointed. Now, obviously, you have no control over what the previous administration did. Any idea on when that is actually, if that is actually in the works, going to take place and all that stuff?
I do believe we have the disconnected youth ombudsman on staff, so happy to follow up with you on a name, but we do
They're
have, they are there.
Okay,
yes,
great.
They're on my staffing pattern.
Okay, very good. You mentioned in your remarks, and a couple of people touched on it as well, preschool and the increase in preschool funding. You had mentioned one of the things, I think it was actually one of your responses to a question, was looking at preschool funding as potentially part of a formula, or the larger school funding formula, right? Do you think that there is an apprehension on school districts' parts to perhaps adopt the pre-K model because there is so much uncertainty, not blaming you, year over year on the formula itself?
That's a great question, and I've talked to many schools and pre-K providers about this. I don't know that that's what I've heard as necessarily as the root cause, but certainly, again, figuring out and balancing their overall budget and spending has been a challenge, and so it's something, again, I'm happy to speak to more districts about and bring back, and I think making sure that we have this funding transparency and predictability moving forward is important to making sure we can offer programs like pre-K.
Now, I want to ask you, because you're the first commissioner in the last 3 that has worked in other states. So in Texas, you guys had House Bill 3. So how did you fund it there?
Can I ask you which, House Bill 3, 2019?
Yes.
School funding? Great. Well, so as I referenced, Texas has a very different system of funding schools in terms of property tax, and in fact uses something called recapture, where wealthier districts pay money back to the state for that per pupil allotment. House Bill 3 did a large number of things. It looked at increasing the base per pupil amount, which in Texas is still significantly less than it is here in New Jersey. It also looked at what are those different pieces that can really support our outcomes. And so the bill also included a variety of things, including training all K-3 teachers on the science of teaching reading.
But you mandated it, right? That bill mandated
that is
pre-K?
in House Bill.
Was it K or pre-K? Pre-K, right?
It expanded pre-K and it changed the funding.
Okay.
Yes.
So was that with funding tied to it, and that's why it was sort of able to stand
was-
itself up and sustain itself all these years later?
There was funding tied to pre-K, but I think there were some additional barriers to program adoption that we also learned in Texas as well. And certainly, Texas funds both 3- and 4-year-old pre-K as well. And this concept of making sure that we have everything we need to open is something that we worked with local providers on.
Does Texas also provide some sort of assistance for certain people for childcare?
Texas also has a very fractured system for childcare, so I believe that doesn't stay at the State Department of Education in Texas, but Texas
Okay.
does have a very multifaceted early care system.
Okay, got it. Next one, and we talked about this a little bit on the phone. Your budget is $21.8 billion of state monies, right? And obviously, school funding takes up a big chunk of that. As someone who has done this in other states, is the Department of Education serving the children of New Jersey well in terms of how we are prioritizing their education and their life after the 12th grade, right? I think as you and I spoke on the phone, sometimes it's almost like, let's just get them out of high school and then they'll figure it out on their own. But are we serving these kids well by just having that mentality only, or do we need to do other things and other training programs, VOTEX, whatever it may be?
Absolutely. So I think absolutely, as we've talked about today and as folks have shared, I mean, New Jersey has some wonderful things happening in schools, and there's some incredible bright spots, including what happens to some of our students after high school. So I certainly want to acknowledge that. And part of the conversation and part of what I think is important and part of your question is that isn't true for every student in New Jersey.
Right.
And we need to make sure that it really is. And we need to know where that's a challenge, and we need to figure out how to support all of our schools to make sure those options exist for students. And so I think that really is our charge. And absolutely, I hope as part of funding that we're having detailed conversations about what does success mean for our school system? What does this really look like? What would students be experiencing if this was working well? And absolutely, I think all of us would say graduation is not the goal. Graduation is a step along the way, and making sure that our students have expansive opportunity as New Jersey residents and taxpayers in the future is a huge part of what we think we need to be doing.
And I agree with that. And I think, Commissioner, I think some of the frustration that we've all expressed today and over the years is that every year is a budget year. And let's just get through July 1, and then we'll figure out the rest on July 2nd. But July 2nd never comes, right? And we sort of are constantly hamsters on a wheel, just having this funding formula conversation every 6 to 8 months. And so, I mean, look, in your budget, your department budget, you've got $4.8 million set aside for career readiness and technical education, right? Is that and again, I understand you've only been here a few weeks, but I hope that as you are here for a significant period of time, you're helping sort of shift the focus of what we're doing from an education perspective beyond just get them out of the 12th grade, right? And that it trickles down to the school districts.
Absolutely, thank you. And I think the department, continuing to look at where we can provide and support and make, again, districts' lives easier is a real priority of mine, and I think that goes hand in hand as we look at the funding. I'm certainly learning the ins and outs of the budget timeline.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Fishbowl, start again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.